The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
The 2024 New York Yankees are going back to the World Series for the first time since 2009, and the 1420 Sports Bar podcast wants to celebrate all week long. We are going to take a look back on this season, go into the vault on great Yankee teams and moments from the past, and get ready for the World Series. Join host Brent Radlinski and a variety of guests as they reminisce about the American League champions and prognosticate on the Yankees' chance to bring their 228th World Championship back to bronze. This Yankee Hype Week at the 1420 Sports Bar podcast, brought to you by SeatGeek. So sit back, grab a few beers, and let's get into it. All right, 1420 Sports Bar pre-gamers World Series edition. The New York Yankees and the Los Angeles Dodgers set to go in just under an hour now. I guess we're at that point now. We're at 5:12 Mountain Standard Time, 7:12, 8:08, 6:08 Mountain Time. First pitch. I can't contain my excitement. It's finally here. We've had just about a week away of Yankee baseball. Lots going on here at the Sports Bar. Been talking a lot about it. Now she's go time. It's two behemoths in the world of baseball. It's two teams that didn't spend their way to the top. You still gotta win. You still gotta do it all on the field. The New York Yankees and the Los Angeles Dodgers are going head to head. East Coast, West Coast. A fantastic matchup this is bound to be. But before we get going here, be remiss to say that the 1420 tip of the cap goes out to Fernando Valenzuela, who passed away earlier this week at the age of 63, pitched in the 81 World Series last time these two teams met up. Back then, the Dodgers came out victorious in that World Series, 4-2. The Dodgers actually lost the first two games of that series. For Fernando Valenzuela, Fernando Mania was a thing, and I was 7 years old when that first came out. And actually, my first baseball jersey was a Fernando Valenzuela number 34 jersey that my parents bought for me from Reaches in downtown Fort McLeod all those many years ago. So Fernando Mania was a thing. It's funny, you look back on his stats from his one start in the World Series, complete game, 7 walks, gave up 4 runs, 6 Ks, 2 home runs, 147 pitches, gave up 2 home runs. So that stat line is a bit different compared to what the stat lines are now in the game of Major League Baseball. But Fernando and Tommy Lasorda, they got it done. So like I said, a 1420 tip of the cap goes out to baseball legend, Dodger legend. There's no getting around that, Fernando Valenzuela. So there it is, Fernando Mania. But anyways, let's get to this one. It's I guess it's the way it was meant to be. The two teams who outspent everybody, who do a lot in the offseason, are finally going to meet up 41 years later. This should be a doozy of a World Series. I hope we won't get too crazy yet, because you never know what could happen. There could be 4 games, there could be 7 games, but it could be over quick, or it could be a long drawn out one. I hope it's a long drawn out one. It's going to be a hell of a game tonight. I think that the matchup favors the Yankees a little bit tonight, just good with Garrett Cole going tonight. I just think that he's the guy that the Yankees put a lot of money into back in 2020 or whatever year it was, when they said, we're going to go out and do this. We're going to give this guy the money over the years. And this is the start that they paid all that money for, to get to a game 1 starter in the World Series. Say, okay, big boy, let's put your big boy pants on. Let's get this done. And Cole's got the weight of the Yankees on his shoulders, and the weight of New York on his shoulders, trying to get the Yankees their first World Series since 2009, 15 long years. It's boo-hoo, I know, for a lot of people saying their team hasn't won in a very long time, but 2009 for the Yankees is their last World Series. The Dodgers have their World Series in 2020. We like to call that the 3/4 World Series around here at 1420 land, because the COVID situation, that's how it all played out. But 88 was their World Series before then. These two teams have met up a number of times in the past. Yankees holding an 8-3 record all time. This goes back to the Brooklyn Dodger days when it was a intercity rivalry. So there's a lot of old time fans who are really tuning into this one and ready to get things going. You wonder what the Dodgers are thinking. They got by the Mets in 6 games. That 6th game was not pretty the way they had to kind of bullpen their way out of it, but it doesn't matter. They don't ask how, they ask how many, and they got there. And the Dodgers, of course, they're led by Shohei Ohtani, the $700 million man or whatever the heck he's getting, and the Mookie Betts. But the Yankees aren't without their star power with obviously Aaron Judge and Juan Soto, and you factor in a guy that we've been raining the praise of this week at the 1420 Sports Bar with Giancarlo Stanton. Stanton's been none short of fantastic. He's getting himself a spot out there in Monument Park, and who knows if they can piece together a World Series here, that guy might end up in Cooperstown. It's crazy to say, considering that I myself, I'll be the first to admit when I'm wrong. And I thought that Giancarlo Stanton would never be on a team that won, and especially a Yankees team that won. So it's going to be a hell of a World Series. I think it's going to be a very interesting World Series, but it all starts tonight. I had Ryan and Dustin on from No Credentials Required last night, and they said the first thing that has to happen is the Yankees have to win one of these two no matter what. And tonight's the one that they really, really have to go after, go out and win a baseball game, get it done tonight, go out and score some runs early, and let Garrett Cole be Garrett Cole and leave it to the bullpen a little bit. But you know what, Cole, you're getting paid a lot of money. He's been the horse for a long time. Expect him. He's on full rest, so I fully expect Cole to have an evening. He's been a good start, bad start, good start, bad start. But I suspect the moment won't get too big for Cole. This might be one of his shining moments as a New York Yankee as well. You see a lot of these guys, they have more money they'll ever spend in their lives, but it's these legacy games, these legacy teams, and getting a championship is one of those things. And for Cole to be considered an all-time great, games 1, 4, and 7 would be all his. So if he gets a great start in game 1 tonight, can hold the lead a little bit, I think you're going to see the Yankees be quite successful tonight, in my opinion. The Dodgers are not without star power of their own. The one wild card there a little bit is Freddie Freeman. Is his ankle going to be good enough? He hasn't been 100% yet, but he's one of those guys who's been on championship teams before. Canadian roots there a little bit, so you got to be pulling for Freddie Freeman a little bit. But the Dodgers are they have power up and down that lineup. They score a lot of runs. They score at will, it seemed. There was some nights against those Mets teams where they were putting up 10 spots every night. So it's going to be up to Cole to keep that Dodger, because that Dodger crowd can get rambunctious. There's no getting around that. 5:00 start Friday night at Chavez Ravine should be a good one for sure. But this Dodger team, it comes and goes. You see how good Mookie Betts is. There's no getting around that. Max Muncy's their all-time home run leader. A lot more playoff games being played, obviously, the wild card rounds and all that stuff. But this team is going to depend largely on their $700 million man, Shohei Ohtani. And Ohtani is all the advertising been there for years, and now he's going to be a legacy of his own. More money he'll ever spend as well. But the thing is, he has to get himself a World Series championship, and he'll go one step above. He already actually has. He's won a few playoff games this time around. He'll go another step above the great Mike Trout just down the highway in Anaheim. Ohtani, if he gets going, he's almost unstoppable. And I think the one wild card that might come into this series is, you remember earlier on this October, and even back in September, Ohtani was thrown off the mound a little bit. Could you see him go into a save situation to pitch a few innings? Yes, you don't want to see him get hurt because that 10-year contract, and you don't want to have a guy out for next year with that kind of money. But would you see Ohtani maybe throw an inning or two, because you know that Dodger bullpen, or the starting pitcher, to get spent, and their bullpen looked a little bit weary, but everybody's well rested now, and it's the World Series. There's no time to be injured. There's no time to be hurt. Next year is a million miles away. You want to win this year because you don't know how many more chances you're going to have to get there. And this is one thing that the Yankee fans know, and the Yankees themselves, their organization. It's been a long 9 years or 15 years, sorry, since they've been there. And it just goes to show you can make the playoffs year in, year out and lick the jar. But if you don't get the World Championship and give yourself a chance to win one, well, then what's the point of finishing with 90 wins or 95 wins every year if you don't get it done? And the Yankees, I think they feel a little bit more pressure than the Dodgers. But on the other hand, the Dodgers, they're no strangers to spending money. That Guggenheim group, Magic Johnson's a part of that group, minority owner. He gets all the publicity because everybody knows who Magic Johnson is. But I think the Dodgers have a lot of pressure on themselves to get that actual World Series, first one since '88. The great Earl Hershiser. Remember that World Series when they were supposed to bow down to the Oakland Athletics and the Jose Canseco and Mark McGuire, Carney Lansford, Ricky Henderson, Dave Stewart, and the bunch, Dennis Eckersley, that great Oakland team that ran into Earl Hershiser, and a hot bat with Kirk Gibson coming off coming out of the abyss to Tommy Lasorda's pleasure and everything else. So it should be a going down memory lane a little bit tonight. I'm sure Fox is going to have some stuff from back in the Brooklyn days and then into New York and then the World Series and the great World Series of the past, 78, 81, and then here we are today with this World Series. I really think that the Dodgers have the advantage. That extra game at home means a lot. I know it doesn't mean a whole bunch in the big picture, but that hometown crowd can really get you going, and that extra little oomph might get them going tonight. So I think that game 7, if it was to end up back in Chavez Ravine, even though it would be Garrett Cole going again, I think it would be advantage for the Dodgers. Absolutely, 100%. Mask the obvious, Brent, but let's just think here that to get to game 7, you gotta win it. You gotta win at least 3 each side. And tonight, I think the Yankees are going to win this game. We'll get the predictions by Righteous Felon in a little bit. My big hope for this World Series, of course, I want my Yankees to win a World Series, but my big hope is that this one actually goes a few games and goes a distance, because you don't want to have these two heavyweights have a first round TKO like Mike Tyson used to knock all those guys out in the first round back in the mid 80s or early the late 80s, early 90s. You'd have this big hullabaloo and everything else, and how it would be you hope with the pageantry was going to match up to things, and you remember it didn't. And sometimes these World Series don't exactly match up to the hype. I hope that this one does, because there's star power on both sides. There's legacy players on both sides. There's Hall of Famers abound on both sides. Just the franchise alone, the two biggest names in baseball, which Ohtani and Judge, the two biggest franchises in baseball. Some people say the Cubs are in there, but it's Yankees, Dodgers. If you go around looking at people who are fringe baseball fans or not baseball fans at all, they'll have a Dodger hat on or a Yankee hat on. So it's the two biggest brands in baseball. And so let's hope that the hype match or the games match up to the hype. And that's my fear, is that one of these teams pull up a dud, it's over in 4 or 5, and that wouldn't be any fun for anybody. I would love to see a 7-game World Series. I would love to see something where I'm chewing my fingernails down to the right down to the bone, and then down to the third knuckle, and just there's nothing left, because that's what playoff baseball is all about. It always makes things a lot better and a lot more exciting, because then people will be talking about it, and then the fun of it all, and then the post games and the pre games and everything else makes it a lot more excitable when the fan bases are engaged. And I think that these two fan bases are so big, and it'll bring the country together a little bit. And I think, like, I had Eric Katz on, writer for Belly Up Sports, earlier on this week, and he said he's a baseball savant, that boy, and he thinks that this one's going to transcend baseball. And I have to agree with him. This one goes all the way to Japan. This one goes all the way across the United States and Canada. It's the two biggest franchises in the sport. It's the two biggest names in the sport, and on it goes. Let's just hope that the hype matches, or the games match the hype, because if it's not, it'll be a bit of a drain. It'll be a bit of a drag for sure. I just can it match the hype? That's another question. Will it be a Dave Roberts situation? Roberts has been here before, as a player and as a manager. Aaron Boone has not been here as a manager, but he's a baseball guy. His family's been around baseball forever and ever. Oh man, and he got there in the 2004 to 2003 World Series, obviously, with that big home run. And then if you remember 2004, Dave Roberts had that stolen base in Game 4 against the Yankees when he was playing with the Red Sox. So there's a little bit of a history there between the two managers as well. So that'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. I know there's not the hatred that there was between these two teams, like there was back in the early 80s, or like when you had the Red Sox and the Yankees. So obviously Boone and Roberts probably didn't like each other, or vice versa, how the Red Sox and Yankees didn't like each other. But now, well, free agency has changed everything. You don't have that dislike. But for a week and a half, I think we're going to see that. It's not even a week and a half. It's 9 days from now. It will be all over. Next Saturday night will be Game 7. But you just hope that these two teams can pull up enough animosity and to have something where it just brings up the enthusiasm of the game and the pressure of the game, and makes this World Series great. Because baseball, I think, really needs this to be a great World Series, because if these two Goliaths don't have a good one, then it's like, well, even when you spend a bunch of money, look what happens. I think this is going to force a lot of teams. I read some today. This might actually start forcing some teams to spend a little money because, as we said earlier on, that Cleveland Guardians owner, he's one of the richest men in the United States. If he goes out and gets one pitcher here and there, a $40 million arm, you never know. It might be the Guardians playing the Dodgers right now, and not the Yankees playing right now. So it should be. I think it's going to be a doozy. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I think it's going to be a lot of the Stars will be out in Hollywood, obviously, and then the Stars will be out at Yankee Stadium on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, where tickets aren't going for cheap. We were kind of snooping around at tickets a little bit to maybe make our way out of the Bronx. We still, you never know, you might catch a the overnight flight and then go to the game and just be around stands and Billy's and the tavern and then take in the atmosphere around Yankee Stadium, because I don't think there'll be anything like it. Dodger Stadium's a little bit different. It's in a different kind of a neighborhood. There's not really a bunch of bars around it, but it's a great atmosphere inside the ballpark in comparison to outside, whereas Yankee Stadium has the atmosphere outside the ballpark as it does inside the ballpark. So it should be a beauty. I have my hopes it's going to be a 7-gamer with the Yankees coming up on top. Let's look at tonight's Yankees starting lineup. This guy has been nothing short of spectacular for the Yankees so far. He might be playing himself back into we said it before, might be playing himself back into a Yankees contract when this World Series is over. But Gleyber Torres has been just fantastic, getting on base, I think, every single game in the first inning, giving his team a chance to score some runs early and often to put up some crooked numbers. And I think that's what's got to happen tonight with Flaherty on the mound. Take some pitch and see what happens. But next up, Juan Soto, the big home run on Saturday night that sent the Yankees to the World Series. What can you say about Soto? Everybody's saying you got to pay him, but I don't think you're going to pay him more than what you're paying the next guy who is your best player right now. 5 years from now, he might not be, but I don't think it's just. Let's not talk next year, Len. Let's not talk contracts right now. Let's talk about tonight. Soto, what can you say about him? He's been everything as advertised. He'll get on base. He'll take some walks, take a lot of pitches for Aaron Judge, the American League MVP. Finally got heated up a little bit. Finally seen his bat come to life. You don't got to hit home runs all the time. We talk about that all the time here, is that home runs aren't needed all the time. Yes, they come in handy, but a base hit here and there. And Stanton, we've already talked about, obviously making his way to Monument Park out there in Yankee Stadium. If he can put together an MVP series like he did in the ALCS, see him to end up in Monument Park with a World Series ring around his finger. Jazz Chisholm Jr., he had a funny story where his grandmother is a Dodger fan. Her favorite player is Mookie Betts, which is kind of funny. Jazz Chisholm Jr., always good for a soundbite. Let's hope his back can get going a little bit and he can start getting some hits together here and there, because all of a sudden you get into a lineup, you don't know how, with the bat and 6, Anthony Rizzo, you don't know what he's going to have with that 4 or 5 days off that they had. It might have healed up a little bit with 2 broken fingers, but Rizzo has that experience. Rizzo knows how hard it is to get there, and so he's going to be invaluable for this Yankees lineup. He's got to play a lot better defense. He was a little bit shaky, which is odd for Rizzo, usually very sure-handed over there at first base, but he's got to be a lot better for the Yankees to be successful. They can't be giving free bases. They can't be giving away outs. Rizzo has to be a lot better these playoffs. Volpe's been really good. I kind of was not, I don't want to say I was down on Volpe hitting 7th tonight for the Yankees, obviously playing shortstop. Kid from New York City, has a chance to maybe win a world championship for his hometown. Volpe, he's been real good. He's been getting a lot of base hits, been getting on doubles and singles, and not a bunch of power. But you know what, from your shortstop, whatever you get is a bonus up the middle. If you get any power, great. But if you don't, there's a guy named Derek Jeter who didn't hit a whole bunch of home runs. Hit one in November one year, if you do remember that one in 2001, where he became Mr. November. So that was a lot of fun that night. But let's get back to 2024 and give these guys their just due and forget about the Yankees of the past. But Volpe has been really good. But these next 2 guys haven't, and that's why Volpe has to really get on base and keep things going a little bit, because Wells has been non-existent. Good behind the plate, but Wells has not been good at the plate. Pretty much nothing going on. Dan Matolo, there he is. I root for the umpires. Me too, Danny. I don't know if you got caught Dan Isogna a couple of weeks back when he was behind home plate. It was really fun to see him. Good to see you, Dan. We'll talk soon. Volpe has to be good because, like I said, Wells has been non-existent. And then you go to Alex Verdugo, Mr. tattoos, Mr. This, Mr. That. Good defensively, been, I don't even want to go. He's been a little bit less than adequate at the plate, but it's those guys have to get it going a little bit, because if you can pitch around a couple of guys in this Yankees lineup, and you never know what you're going to get from Judge. I'm still not sold on October Judge. He has been better. He has been around, but I just expect him to maybe take a step back. I just don't know how it's going to be, and until he can prove it for multiple games in a row and everything else, I have my doubts about Judge. He's going to prove me wrong, I hope, but he's going to, if he can get on base early tonight, give Stanton some at-bats, give Stanton some, because he'll see some pitches. He'll see some pitches because Stanton was so hot. Judge going to see a lot more pitches because Stanton was hot, and he'll have to see some pitches because Soto's going to get on base. So it's going to work out pretty good for Aaron Judge, I think. But because the bottom of the lineup with Wells and Verdugo have been so awful, and Jazz Chisholm Jr. hasn't done much either, you got to think, that's pretty much 3 automatic outs. The other guys really have to pick it up a lot more. So it should be very interesting. And of course, starting pitcher tonight for the Yankees, Garrett Cole. This is why they paid him the big bucks. This is why they have him out there tonight in game 1, game 4, and hopefully if it goes that far, to a game 7. It should be a beauty. I expect a 6-5, 6-4 game. We'll get to predictions here in a little bit, but let me know what your thoughts are. Make sure you guys tune into pre-gamers every night, about a half an hour, 45 minutes for the game every night. We'll keep this going throughout the playoffs. Probably do one on Sunday. Actually, I have a show lined up on Sunday with a group from New York. We're going to talk about the first 2 games, so that should be a lot of fun too. And then the Captain's Corner, he's starting a new podcast, so good for him. It's contagious, one of these things. But it should be a great game tonight, and we'll start very soon. But here's a word from our sponsors over there at Righteous Felon Jerky. Righteous Felon Craft Jerky is the official jerky of Belly Up Sports. For over a decade, Righteous Felon Craft Jerky has led the American meat snack revolution by concocting delicious, adventurous, U.S.-sourced jerky recipes for uncompromising carnivores across the country. With 15 different flavors to choose from, Righteous Felon has all jerky lovers covered, and by using promo code BELLYUP, you will get 15% off your purchase at RighteousFelon.com. Do your taste buds a favor today and rip into a bag of Righteous Felon Jerky. Thanks very much to Righteous Felon Jerky. Go to RighteousFelon.com for the best jerky in the land and get yourself 15% by using promo code BELLYUP over there at Righteous Felon. Anyways, it's prediction time here at the Yankee Tavern North, here, otherwise known as the 1420 Sports Bar, for game 1. We won't get into a series prediction. That's too hard. We just go game by game, night by night here at the Sports Bar. But I really expect this to be a great game. I don't expect it to be low scoring. By low scoring, I don't see a 2-1, 3-2 game. I see a 6-3, 6-4 game. But I do expect to see Cole with a bit of a leash out there because the bullpen, because he's their best guy, and that's why he's out there. And the Dodgers are going to score some runs. We're not talking leaving him like Fernando Valenzuela in the 81 World Series, but I expect him to have a situation where he's going to be allowed to get himself out of trouble. The Yankees are going to score runs as well. 6-4, 6-3 kind of a game. I'm thinking the Yankees win this one tonight. They take the 1-0 lead against the Dodgers. I haven't been the best at predictions so far, but it's kind of went for my team. So I should have went the opposite George, and done that again. But here's the thing. I really expect the Yankees to win tonight, to take a 1-0 lead, get the split at Chavez Ravine at Dodger Stadium, and go home to Yankee Stadium and to do a little bit of damage, because the pitching staff, you just never know what you're going to get. I think Clark Schmidt's going in game 3. It's going to be interesting to see how the Yankees are, because they added Nestor Cortez to the postseason, to the World Series lineup, to the roster, and he flat out said, and I got to admire what he said. He said, I can be hurt all next year. I don't care. I want to get a ring. And so that's very good of Nestor Cortez to say that and say, you know what, this is why I'm here. This is why you play the game. He's got money. He's got a contract. But he said he'd rather help his team win a World Series. And if his arm gives out and he can't go next year, well, oh well. So you got to commend a guy like Nestor Cortez, seeing the big picture, not just the small picture. But it should be a great game tonight. I'm expecting a doozy. Expecting a lot of energy in the crowd. Should be a lot of fun on the Twitter land. I'm not going to be tuned into Twitter. I'm going to be tuned into the game, starting here in about, it's probably the pregame show's probably already on, so you're probably tired of listening to me flap my guns. But make sure you guys come back tomorrow for pregamers, 5 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Check your local listings. Should be a lot of fun. Remember, smart people bunt. Have a great good night tonight, and everybody enjoy the game. And you know what? Go Yankees. You just listened to the 1420 Sports Bar podcast. 4 beer with the sports talk and a whole lot more. We are part of the Belly Up Media Network. Let's get into it.